Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the ANS podcast. I am your host, Alec Miller. You can find me on Twitter at AlecMiller0423. And I'm joined, as always, by my main man in the Arrows hat, Jesus. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? It's good to be back after, what was it, a week and a half off, basically?
Yeah, basically.
So,
Yeah,
a week and a half
you're
off.
gonna represent. I'm going to represent, even though it's in my head.
Man, I'm so frustrated with the Astros right now, man.
I agree, man. It's tough. It's tough. It's okay. We'll find our footing. We like these slow starts. It's not a big deal. But we are here to talk big time stuff over here with UFC 261, the very first UFC fight card since COVID-19 hit the world, and we had people all in front. People came in droves and mass, and it was. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you watch that and that opening, Bruce Buffer with a live crowd and not get chills, I don't know what is going on with you, man. Because I had chills. I was incredibly happy to see that, and it was just an insane night from wall to wall. We had so many great fights, so many big things happen, and we had 3 title fights, which was, those are always iffy with me. They can always go either be incredible and have, wall to wall action, or they can be extremely long and take a very long time to get through. But luckily, that's not what we got here. We had 3 title fights, 3 finishes, one brand new champion, not brand new champion, but second, a 2-time champion crowned. Just going to be waiting for the rematch for that one, obviously, because you know how I feel about said winner and said loser of that fight. But before that, and we get to Prohaska and Dominic Reyes, let's do, as always, the what are you watching segment of the show. I'll go first. I have made it. It's no secret to anybody. I love The Circle on Netflix. I think it's so much fun to watch. It's the idea of having to communicate over social media and trying to make friends and be popular through that way. I love the show. It's so much fun. And season 2 is even better than season 1. They introduce new things. It was just a lot of fun. So if you are a social media, if you're a reality TV fan, and even if you're not, because I didn't consider myself a reality TV fan before watching this, and I love this show. So if you haven't, check out The Circle, season 1 and season 2. I promise you will get through them incredibly fast. The finale for season 2 is happening on Friday. So check it out, man. I'm telling you, once you start watching, you're going to get hooked.
I haven't seen it, man. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I used to like some reality TV back in the day. I mean, a long time ago, but then it just kept getting more cornball and cheesy. I think one of my guilty pleasures was the Jersey Shore for a while.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's just
a lot of people's.
it's like a train wreck, man. And you just cannot look at it.
Exactly.
But if you're saying it's that good, man, I'm definitely gonna check it out, man.
Yeah, the beauty of this is that that you're not getting the typical drama. You're not getting people being obnoxious and getting into arguments with each other. Like, this is all, you're basically put inside a room. You create a profile. It's all in the same building, but you create a profile. You can either be yourself or you can be a catfish. You can choose what to do, and you talk to people. You play games, and you do. When it's time to rate, you do ratings. You rate the people based off of who you like, who you dislike, and there's 2 ways to play the game. You can basically be yourself and just be a nice person and see where that gets you, or you can be strategic, kind of be cutthroat, and they've shown their success on both sides. You can be successful both ways. So definitely check it out. I promise you will enjoy it. If you don't, money back guarantee. I will apologize to you if you watch it and you don't like it. But I'm guaranteeing that this is just a fun show. It's not your typical trash TV drama. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Cool. I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out.
All right, and for movie, I'm gonna go with something a little older, but since we haven't been here to talk about it, I want to talk about it, and that's Mortal Effing Kombat. Dude, this movie was insane in all the best ways. It's dumb in all the best ways. Them, putting in the little lines, the video game stuff like flawless victory. Kung Lao saying that when he takes out the bat lady. I still don't know. I don't remember her name.
The bat lady.
Yeah. It was so awesome. I enjoyed it from top to bottom, and I told my girlfriend after watching this that this is, to me, this could be on the level of like a Fast and Furious, where not in terms of like people loving it, but just in terms of you could keep doing these movies and I will keep watching. I will watch 9 Mortal Kombat films because you can literally introduce new characters in every film, have a different tournament every film, and they already teased, if you haven't seen it and if you haven't seen the movie yet, they have already teased Johnny Cage for the second one, and I really hope we get it. And I'm gonna throw out a name to play Johnny Cage. I want the Miz from WWE to play Johnny Cage because his character is basically Johnny Cage in WWE. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, you don't need great acting in these movies. Like, you don't need great acting in these movies. You can go in there with the cheese, with the cornball stuff, and to me, I enjoy it. And you can also get the backstory stuff. I loved the Scorpion Sub-Zero backstory, and I would love if they, in the second film, you get the whole Sub-Zero's brother comes back to avenge his brother, Bihan, because obviously we know that Bihan was the Sub-Zero that we got in this one. So to see that, and I love that they made Scorpion a hero, because in reality, I mean, in the video games, he is 100% a hero. He fights for righteousness. He fights for good, even though he's basically
he just doesn't look like it.
Yeah, he's from hell. He had to live basically a lot of his life there, but his entire arc is about avenging his family and avenging his clan and taking out evil. And I like that they did that. They didn't, because I think in the trailers I got they kind of centered on Sub-Zero, so I was like, they making Sub-Zero the good guy, even though, I mean, we find out in later games that Sub-Zero was actually not the one who did it, that it was Quan Chi, but we can ignore that all we want.
Yeah, well, I just remember whenever he finally takes off his mask, and then you fight with him without a mask on or whatever. That's supposed to be the good one. Yeah, man. I mean, I saw that, and I mentioned to you that I'm up for Father of the Year because I showed my 12-year-old son Mortal Kombat, and I only did that because I kind of saw the original one around the same age.
Not nearly as gory.
Yeah, it's not nearly as gory, but again, I mentioned to you too that I already let the open Pandora's box, because my sister accidentally took him to go watch Rambo, and it was like super gory. So that's broken already. But I just wanted kind of him to see it and kind of check it out and see the mythos and what they were doing with it. And I agree. I felt like this is on par just with like Kong versus Godzilla. It's just a fun movie, a fun pastime. It's nostalgic, but it's also cool because of the new elements that they put into it. I don't know if you saw one of the things on the background on the hieroglyphs in the when they were in that in Raiden's temple, there was a up down back.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, so just stuff like that is pretty cool. I was surprised that they put Reptile in. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was sweet.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. The whole Kano thing was obviously the same kind of storyline from the first movie, but a little bit better. I don't know. It was just interesting, man. It's just interesting, and I agree. Like, if they make more movies, as long as they either do at this level or improve a little bit more with each one, with new characters and build upon it, I would, man. I'd watch them every time. And honestly, I was thinking about this. Like, let's say there was no COVID and it was a regular year and we were going to movies, I would have paid to go watch this movie. And I could have seen all the reviews and whatever, but I would have still paid just because it is what it is. Mortal Kombat. Mm-hmm. You're there to see it. You know the characters. You want to see how they're used. I liked how they used Goro to an extent. I thought he looked cool. I thought he looked menacing. I just, I felt like he should have been more of a boss type. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna take more than one to kind of do away with him. But Sub-Zero was kind of the boss type in this one, Yeah. But it was good, man. It was good. I liked it as well, man. It was a good movie.
Yeah, I agree with what you say about comparing it to Kong versus Godzilla. because I felt the exact same way. Like I wanted big monsters fighting in Godzilla versus Kong. It's exactly what I got. Anything else to me was a bonus. That's how I felt with this. I want awesome fighting, awesome fight scenes, and I want gore, and anything else I got was just an added bonus. So definitely, I agree with what you said. So if you haven't seen Mortal Kombat, go and see Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
It's on
definitely.
HBO Max, and I think it's a perfect movie, and it could be a perfect movie series for like HBO Max releases. They don't
Yeah, I
necessarily need
agree.
to go to the theaters. They can go to the theaters, but I
Mhm.
think it'd be perfect for just like, oh, this is a HBO Max thing where you can go in there and watch it for free. But if you want to, you can go see it in the theaters as well. So just something to put take into consideration. HBO Max, Warner Brothers, if you're listening, which I'm sure
Yeah.
you are.
I'm sure they are. They're always locked in, dude. But
Mhm.
dude, the other thing too, like you said, it was just a bonus for you. Like for me, I was already on cloud nine when I saw Cabal, dude, because Cabal is the
Dude,
player
yeah,
that
that
I
was
played
sick.
with. I played with him. That was my guy that I used to play with. You know what I'm saying? Like that was
Yeah.
the guy that I always picked. So I was like, oh man, they got Cabal. Like how would like I didn't even know how they would do him in the movie, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool way to put him in. So that was just a cherry on top for me, man. So
If
definitely,
I
man.
get, I would say, if I get some Kinshi in the next couple films, I'm sold, man. I loved Kinshi. Kinshi was freaking sweet. Also, just I don't know if anyone caught it, but Liu Kang dropped a Bo Rai Cho reference. Who? So if you guys don't know who Bo Rai Cho is, he's the drunken master,
Mm,
uh, drunken fist master who barfs on people. So I don't know.
I
Maybe we'll get
remember.
like some background. Obviously, Luke Kang's going to have a bigger. I think he's going to play a bigger role in the next film. I know a lot of people were like, "What? Luke Kang is the guy." I'm like, I don't think y'all played past
yeah,
certain films because he's not really the guy.
he's not.
I
Uh,
mean, play Deadly
dude,
Alliance. He dies in the first couple
yeah, dude.
minutes.
If they put like a Cyrax in there, dude, you know,
Oh,
that'll be awesome, man.
Cyrax. I need some smoke, some Ermac, all those good ones, man.
Yeah,
I mean, we still haven't gotten Jade or Katana either, so
yeah, that's true
those
too.
are those are
Those
names.
are,
So,
yeah.
there's so many
Uh,
characters, man, that we could get, and I'm really looking forward to this series.
yeah, I'm hoping they do it justice again because they did pretty good on this one.
Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead and
All
give
right, so
yours.
all right, for me, I guess you took my moves, so I'll just give you two shows. So first, chronologically, I guess I saw the Bad Batch,
Okay.
which is the new Star Wars animated series that starts after. It's kind of after the Clone Wars, and
Mm-hmm.
it's starting to lead into some of the movies that we've seen, like Rogue One. So I won't ruin it because I know it just came out like 2 days ago. I think it was, or a day ago,
Pretty
something like
sweet.
that. So it's really good, man. It's really good. I sat down, I saw it with my son. The first episode is like an hour long, man, and it's really good. It's really good. So I was like, I was surprised that they went so hard so fast on the first episode.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I'm happy because I was like, man, this is really good. So I'm really excited about where it's going. I don't know. The Bad Batch is just cool to me. Like the whole concept of it is really cool to me. So definitely recommend that. And then the other show that I saw today, because it's like a thing that with my daughter, we saw the first episode of season 2 of Selena on Netflix. So it
Oh,
picks
okay.
up.
Are we on season two?
Yeah, man. Season 1 was
Oh wow.
last year during the right in the
Wow.
middle of the pandemic, and it got a lot of great reviews. It also got some bad reviews, um, just necessarily with the main actress. She's young and I don't think she's been in anything else. And obviously, it's kind of big shoes to fill. But I think she did a decent job, portraying what it was to be her growing up, in that atmosphere. So the first episode picked up where the last one left off. Obviously, we know where this ends, and it's looking like
Yeah.
it's going towards that already. So maybe we only see 2 seasons. But there is a lot of backstory that hasn't been said before, hasn't been told before. And it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It's pretty interesting because you'll go back and you'll research and like, oh man, that actually did happen. So
Oh wow, they got Christian Serratos to play. I didn't realize Christian Serratos played. Serratos played Selena. So it's Christian Serrato. She is also in The Walking Dead. Sorry, she was in The Walking Dead. She was in. I don't know if this was after your time, but Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. She was in that. Oh, see, that was when I was a kid, and I fell in love with. I was like, I had the biggest crush on her in that show. So yeah, pretty cool. I might have to give this show a look see. Trying to see who else is in it. I don't really recognize any of their names, but
they're not too many. They're not too many big names, which I good. Actually, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I actually think that's a good thing that they did for this because it doesn't let like. I feel like all the actors and actresses are at the kind of the same level, so one doesn't outshine the other, and it's more of an ensemble, like storytelling about Selena's life because they all had a part in it. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. So it doesn't like. I guess like in the movie, you know, Edward James Olmos kind of like obviously it was Selena, which was Jennifer Lopez, and that was her breakout, you know, movie that got her huge. But also Edward James Olmos, you know, really stole the show in that movie as a dad, as the overbearing dad, and he just sticks in your head with how good his performance was, and you don't really remember the rest of the people for the most part, you know. Yeah, and in this show, it's more even. It's more even. So that's what I like about it.
I might give this one a check, a little look see because I mean I'm a Selena fan. My grandfather was in love with her. Like he always told my grandma he was gonna leave her for Selena. But yeah, I might have to check the show out. It sounds really interesting. It sounds really good.
Yeah, it is good, man. It is good.
Yeah. So also, since you didn't give a movie, two more things. One, finale for Captain America. I'm over here spoiling it now. For Falcon and the Winter Soldier was amazing. If you do not tear up from Sam's speech, because of to me it felt like so real and just kind of what I feel like the world needs to hear. Like you don't have a soul because that was an amazing speech and scene. And I think they handled it very well. And my girlfriend's looking at me crazy because she didn't tear up in that scene. So that says more about her than it says about me. And yeah, I just think it was amazing. They handled the they handled the entire show well. I think even the ending for John Walker, and we're going to be getting a U.S. agent soon too, is very well done. Wyatt Russell was fantastic in the show, and I think some people need to take note. Zemo always wins. We have to recognize that.
Yeah, he's the big brain. He's the big brain bug, like in what is it, Space Starship Troopers, whatever. He's the big
Starship
brain,
Troopers,
man.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
man.
he's the big brain, man. Like he's 4, 5, 6 steps ahead of you, man. I've always liked Baron Zemo as a character. I like Daniel Bruhl as an actor. He speaks Spanish, which is pretty cool, pretty fluent. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say also, who would have known Julia Louis-Dreyfus was gonna show up as Madame Hydra? That's pretty sweet too.
that was a big time.
Big get.
Yeah, exactly. Like time get, and also for keeping it, locked up and a secret for so long that nobody really knew until it went down. What else are they plotting? What else? I mean, there's so much Marvel that's going to be jam packed, and I think somebody was saying it, and I have to agree with them that we kind of got a forced hiatus from Marvel for about a year, and it kind of did good because a lot of people were getting towards that burnout phase with Marvel. Me included. Like I love it, but like. After that big finale with the Infinity War, the part 1, part 2, all that Endgame. I'm sorry, part 1 and part 2. It's just you felt like, oh man, you just came from this 10-year thing. You remember when it started? You watched all of them, and it was just kind of getting there. And you were kind of upset at DC because they were messing up, and now it's kind of there was nothing. And then you start off with WandaVision, which was phenomenal, and then you go into more of your sweet spot, which is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you're setting up the movies, and like you said, people are itching for it, man. You know, so it was a great thing. I agree, they did a great job with the show. A very, very, um, pertinent to what's going on right now in our society. I honestly didn't think he was going to pick up the mantle whenever um, Isaiah Bradley told him, that he'd be a fool to do so. I was like, oh man, he's not going to do it now. I mean, he kind of reveres this guy, but that just tells you like how big the responsibility is for him to do it. That even though he said that I have to do it because it needs to be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's change.
Yeah. So it's crazy, man. It was a crazy show. I really enjoyed it, man. I don't know. It was just really good. I'm excited about Loki coming up. Loki's looks like it's going to be different as well. We have Black Widow coming up too. I don't know, man. How much more? I mean, they obviously know the equation to be good, not only at the box office, but also on a week-to-week basis and storytelling. So I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it, man, and see when we're finally gonna be able to go into the movie theater in a more safe fashion, because I feel like I want to watch Black Widow at the movie theater, man. I watch the shows at home, but Black Widow being so far, out of the theater experience, I think that would be a good one to come back to, man.
Yeah, I think Black Widow is going to be the next movie I go see in the theaters. I'm fully vaccinated now. Nice. I still wear my mask everywhere. I don't not wear my mask anywhere. So I think we're gonna do Black Widow for the first movie, even though after seeing Godzilla versus Kong, I kind of wish I would have done that one in theater, because that would have been sick.
Yeah, that one would be pretty cool too. I think I'm gonna go to that one too. I'm gonna try to see if at that time, I don't even know if they're still gonna be doing it, but I kind of want to rent out the theater just to make it even safer and just to invite people that I'm close to. I'm also fully vaccinated. My whole family's fully vaccinated, with the exception of my kids. I'm gonna wait off on my kids for a little bit, just to make sure. But yeah, we're fully vaccinated, man. So and I'm just like you. I wear my mask everywhere I go.
Yeah. So be safe, guys. Be safe out there. But let's get into it, man. UFC 261 was the long-awaited return to fans, and it did not disappoint. It was a banger from top to bottom. I think it's probably the first time I've ever seen a full arena during the early prelims, because that's how badly people missed going, and I loved seeing it. I was gonna be mad if I saw one open seat in that arena during the early prelims, because come on, guys, you're taking it for granted already. But it wasn't. It was jam packed from top to bottom, and it was just a great night all around, man.
We also had real quick. We also had celebrities in attendance, man. We had Tom Brady, Gardner Minshew, Jake
Travis
Paul,
Barker.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a bunch of people there, including celebrities. So yeah, man. I mean, Florida, they're lax on their rules. Their rule set, and I mean, hey, if those people wanted to be out there, it's their life. They can do it. I did see a lot of people with masks. I did see a lot of people without masks, but there wasn't any issues of why didn't you wear a mask or why are you wearing a mask kind of deal. So overall, people there were just fans of the UFC, man, that haven't been able to go for so long and haven't been to live events. So yeah, man, it was really, I don't know, man. It's really a different experience from no fans. Like, I feel like the no fans thing last year was kind of a novelty, and we were all excited about it. Like, oh man, you could hear everything. Mm-hmm. But now that we see it with fans, we're like, oh man, we're missing out on a lot.
Yeah, regular size octagon too. Back to the normal size, and I think you could feel the crowd, and you could see that it affected the fighters from the get go. We started off with a crazy knockout with Ariane Carnelosi knocking out Ling Na, and I think I texted you right then. I was like, there you can. I think it's helping these fighters, like feeling that crowd. It's just like, because it was like from the get go, it was hot out the gate.
A lot of energy. A lot of energy.
Yeah, everyone had a lot of energy. You can see it in a lot of the fights, and you got it right off the top. You got a big time knockout by Ariane Canalosi uh, in the strawweight division. Excuse me. In the next fight, we had a flyweight fight, and we had Orochi Lang taking on Jeffrey Molina. This is a unanimous decision by given to Jeffrey Molina, but when I watched it, I was not 100%. I had it Molina, but I wasn't 100% confident. I think I was the third or the second round that was extremely close, but I think the right guy did get it, but it was a lot closer. I'm surprised it wasn't a split decision; that it was a unanimous decision.
Well, look, I didn't see this fight, man. But,
excuse me.
But I can tell you, just on paper. I mean, let me just tell you the strikes. Molina was 210 landed strikes out of 378 for a 55% connect ratio, and Ori was 125 out of 269. So, I mean, almost 100 strike difference. The only difference I see on the positive side for Ori is 3 out of 4 takedowns to 0 out of 1 takedown against Molina. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's a significant difference, man. Almost 100 strikes difference, and you still felt that it was maybe in the wrong direction.
I think it's just because the pace is what had me, man. Because both guys were really going at it. I think, like you said, Molina was a little bit more efficient with his strikes, and I just have it for Molina. I was just kind of surprised that with the takedowns that Orochi Lang had, that it wasn't at least one guy, one judge giving it to Orochi Lang. But I mean, I think the right guy won, Jeffrey Molina for sure. And I mean, Orochi Lang is good, but he's not very good at blocking and evading attacks. He's kind of and we see a lot with these Chinese fighters. They kind of take their lumps. They take the punches, and I mean that's all well and good. And we're gonna talk about it with Prohaska. It's all well and good until you can't take the punch anymore. So just something that some of these guys need to take into consideration. Next fight we had lightweight Kazula Vargas and Rong Zhu. I don't honestly remember this fight, but I know Kazula kind of was handling Rong Zhu. He had a speed advantage, kind of had a size advantage. So, Kazula Vargas. For those who don't remember, he is the guy who kneed the shit out of Brock Weaver, the illegal knee. And I don't think he had fought since then. So this was like his it might have been his comeback. I'm gonna make sure before I talk out my ass. But let's see. Yeah, so the last fight was the one against Weaver. So last time we saw him, he was getting a loss by DQ. So to see him come back here and put on a 3-round clinic against Rong Zhu was a good start for him. He's got to kind of get ready to fight some bigger guys, though, bigger names. And the next one we had a bantamweight fight. Dana Batgara, knocking out Kevin Natividad in the first round in 50 seconds, and this was an insane knockout.
I didn't get a chance to see it.
So I'm gonna see if I can pull it up so that we can both see it. Batgara knockout, because it was crazy, and that it was a great way to start the fight. Yeah, this is not it. This is not the one I want. I want 261. Dang it. Man. Here it is. All right, I'm gonna pull it up as soon as I can get a video on it. Sorry for the. Ooh. Okay, I have it pulled up. Now I'm just gonna share the screen so we can both see it, and the world can see it with us. Share screen. Go to Chrome tab. Boom, right here. All right. Can you see it?
Yep.
Are we full screen?
Yep.
Right, here we go. I'm going to turn it down too because I don't want it to be too loud. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh. Man, that was wild.
It was just like a wild exchange.
Yeah, but it looked like a check left hook. So rewind it, or are they going to show it again?
No, I'm going to go ahead and rewind it. It's not a very long clip.
Yeah. Okay, go back. Look at the. Oh.
There you go.
Left hook right there. You see it?
Yep.
That's
and then that one on the with his hands on the ground, with hands and knees on the ground, landed square too.
Mm-hmm.
It was nasty, man. Baccarat is a could be a problem at bantamweight. Want to see him get a little bit more reps in, but dude could be a problem for sure.
Yeah, man, that check left hook, man, it does. I don't know, man. It catches a lot of people slipping. I don't know why. When it's like like a common technique thing. When you're backing up, somebody's coming forward, you just do a check left hook to catch him, and it works. It works wonders, man.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and go to the prelim fight. The Pat Sabatini fight and Tristan Connolly. Not really much to me to talk about. It was kind of a grappling fight. So it's still exciting, but just not as exciting as the other ones. Then we go to the middleweights, and we have Carl Roberson and Brendan Allen. And Brendan Allen keeps doing this. He keeps submitting guys here in the middleweight division. And this one with 5 seconds left with a heel hook. With an ankle, I think it was an ankle lock or something like that. Hold on, make sure that I have that right. But just got it. I mean, they're going at it. They're scrapping. They're on the ground. Grappling with each other, and somehow Brendan Allen finds his way to Carl Roberson's legs, and literally with 5 seconds, if he could just hold on a little longer, obviously it's easier said than done, because I mean, someone's got a hold on your ankle. It's not really easy to hang on.
What you don't hold on is ligament locks. So legs, arms, shoulders, you don't try to hold on to those. You tap right away, because they can do structural damage and you'll be out for 18 months. If it's like a choke, you try it as long as you can before you pass out. So yeah, if it's a leg lock, dude, you just tap, man.
Yeah, it sucks, man, to get that, because I mean, it looked like Carl Roberson was gonna be able to get out of the round. And all of a sudden, I don't know. I still don't even remember how he gets it, but he somehow gets that leg, and it's over. So Brendan Allen, I'm still waiting for him to make that leap. This was definitely a good step in that direction,
for sure.
But we're still waiting for that big leap from Brendan Allen, because he's got the size, he's got the ground game. He's not a slouch on his feet, but he's not the greatest. But I mean, I think we're all just waiting for that big leap that he has to make.
Yeah, but he also needs a dance partner, man. He needs a bigger name too.
Absolutely. We'll see. We'll see if we get it soon. Next up, we had Randy Rude Boy Brown submitting Alex Oliveira in the first round, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. This was a good win for Randy Brown. This is one of those wins that we're kind of talking about with Brendan Allen. This is kind of that for Randy Brown, getting that really good and like putting the stamp on a victory too, with a submission on Alex Oliveira.
Yeah, man, this was as dominating as you can probably get against Alex Oliveira, man. He's a tough dude. He can take a punch, and he basically, I mean, steamrolled him, man. It looked, on second watch, because I went back and watched it again, it looked worse, for Oliveira. Yeah. And Randy Brown was just basically doing everything he wanted to do to him.
Mm-hmm. So good win for Randy Brown in the welterweight division. We know they're going to be needing some challengers coming up, so he's got to get a couple more big names on his belt, and maybe we could see something special from Randy Brown in the near future. But let's get to this wild main card from the get-go.
I think that's a good way to put it, man. Wild is a way to describe it for
sure. So out the gate, we have light heavyweight Anthony Smith looking to get off of this huge losing streak that he's been on, because apparently that's what happens when you either go 5 rounds with John Jones, you go on a losing streak to end all losing streaks.
He breaks you, and then you're broken.
Yeah, or like in Dominic Reyes, is you take him to the limit, and all of a sudden you look like you can't fight anymore. It's like you put everything you had into that one fight, and you just can't do it anymore. But with Anthony Smith, he needed a big win here, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I was not expecting it to be against Jimmy Crute. I was expecting Jimmy Crute to come in here and kind of handle Anthony Smith, but come on, how are you not checking leg kicks? You're not checking leg kicks.
It's 2021, post-COVID. You have to check, and I don't care how you check them. You can check them with the CK. You can check them with the QUE, like McGregor saying he's going to check his leg kicks. However you do it, just check the leg kicks, man.
And there was none of that by Jimmy Crute. At the end of that round, he got his leg kicked out from underneath him, and the doctor told him no more. He can't, because it literally looked like he could not control his leg. As soon as he put it down, man, it was it.
I mean, those were those calf kicks, and one of the big things, and I've been doing research into this as well, because we don't understand it because it's a calf kick, and we're like, oh, it's a calf kick, and it's a relatively new technique that's being mastered right now. But the reason why it's such a debilitating move is because your calf gets swollen, man, and your calf has nowhere to swell up to because there's no space there. So it starts messing with your nerves, so you can't put your foot down right. You can't pick it up when you want. Your mobility is gone. The pain is horrendous because it's swelling. In hospitals, man, if you come in with a swollen calf, man, they gotta cut you open to let the muscle expand. If not, you can possibly lose your leg. So it's a new devastating technique, and fighters have to figure out how to check those leg kicks, because if not, they're gonna have more TKO losses on their record, just like this, or they're gonna lead to knockouts like the Conor McGregor fight. He had lost his mobility. He couldn't punch. He couldn't fight off Poirier, and Poirier just picked him apart until he was able to knock him out. So it's a devastating technique, man. We're gonna be seeing a lot more of it going forward. We're gonna talk about it in the next fight again. So it's we have to. So yeah, man. So Crute, at this point in the game, you're not a rookie, man. You're on the main card. You're fighting a big name who was a title challenger, who a lot of people say that he also might have beat John Jones, the GOAT at light heavyweight. And you gotta check leg kicks, man. You just have to do it.
Yep, absolutely, man. I agree. I 100% agree. This is it's not new anymore. I know it's fairly new, but it's not new anymore. You have to check these leg kicks. We've seen multiple fights end on leg kick TKOs. Just keep that in mind. And if they're not leading to TKOs, they're leading to a knockout. Because, like you said, with Conor McGregor, no mobility, focused on other things, and all of a sudden, you're not worried about anything else but that leg hurting. You're worried about nothing but how can I get this man to stop kicking my leg, and it leads to stone hands coming at your face. So things you gotta make the adjustments. I hope that I don't think there was any internal damage. I think it was just he hit it right on the spot. So I'm pretty sure we'll see Jimmy Crute back, and Jimmy Crute is a guy who has a lot of upside to him. He'll be back sooner than later, and we'll see what he's got. But now Anthony Smith doesn't have to worry about getting another. Obviously, he'll worry about getting another win, but it's not the end of the world. He's not in desperation mode anymore. Now he is back in the winning circle. He's in the winning column, and now he doesn't worry about it. His heart skipping a beat every time Dana calls him.
Yeah, like you might get cut. No, I mean, I agree. He needed this to get right, and he did it in a good manner. He looked good out there. He looked obviously better than Jimmy Crute, and I feel like if he didn't TKO him with his leg kick, he was going to TKO him later on, just with how the fight was going. So good for Anthony Smith, and he gets to stay around a little bit longer. I don't know, man. I think he's kind of going towards that gatekeeper status. But there's just so much uncertainty at the top of the division that it's too soon to call him a gatekeeper, because he can easily get one more win and then he's not getting on the top of the division. And who knows who's going to be at the top? If it's a new person, if it's somebody that's not Jan, maybe we want to see that fight against against Jan. We want to see it, even though he already beat him, right? No, Jan didn't beat him.
No, he has a fight.
Glover,
yeah,
Glover's the one who beat him. Yeah, so if it's somebody different at the top, man, maybe he'll get that shot finally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and he's ranked number 6. He's not at the bottom of the heap. He's still ranked, pretty high.
I think that's a good ranking for him. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, and the people that are above him, you got Dominic Reyes, you have Thiago Santos, Alexander Rakic, Jiri Prohaska, and Glover Teixeira. All names I think are at the moment, better than Anthony Smith. But if I'm Anthony Smith, man, I'm asking for a fight with maybe I don't know if he would take it, but maybe Alexander Rakic. I know Rakic is asking for a fight against Prohaska, but from Dana's mouth, he said that Prohaska should be getting the next shot after Glover. So, but that's still a ways away. I don't even think we have the Teixeira and Jan fight still hasn't even been scheduled.
So, dude, Dana wants Jiri to be the champion so bad, dude. It's ridiculous.
Can you blame him? I get it. And we'll talk about it later. But the first thing I texted you was, can we skip the Glover fight and just go straight to Jiri? I was on the same stuff that Dana's on. And you know what? And I don't even like Jiri that much. I don't like the fact that he blocks punches with his face as much as he does. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Next up, I have to ask, is Uriah Hall the first guy to ever win a fight without throwing he didn't throw a strike, I don't believe, right?
Yeah, he's the first one
to ever win without throwing one strike.
Without throwing one strike. Yeah.
Which is insane. So if you guys don't know, I am not going to pull it up because I do not want to see that. I just ate a little while ago, and I would like to keep my dinner where it is. But Chris Weidman, Uriah Hall, middleweight division, right? Middleweight.
Yeah, middleweight. Yeah, middleweight.
All right, just making sure. Middleweight division. Uriah Hall coming off of a really good win against Anderson Spider Silva. And what in the world kind of coincidence that he beat the man who broke his leg on the man he just beat, who just broke his leg on him. You can't write a crazier story.
Well, not even that, but the way Hall put it was the first man to beat Silva in the UFC was fighting the last man to beat him in the UFC. You know what I'm saying? And the guy who he broke his leg on gets his leg broken on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it was like the MMA gods saw an alignment and said, we just want to remind people that we're here, and that's exactly what happened.
Dude, so for those who don't know, Chris Weidman throws a leg kick that wasn't even necessarily checked.
It was checked.
It was checked. Okay, I couldn't tell. I don't remember if it was checked, but okay. So
and
see what happens when you check leg kicks, guys.
Well, he turned his leg out and he didn't catch all of it, but he definitely, that's what you want to see. Like, you just don't want them to hit 100% where they're aiming, and that's exactly what happened. He still got some of the meat, but he got a lot of that bone.
Yeah, and so Weidman's leg completely snaps, basically wraps around Uriah Hall's leg in a way that it should not wrap around. He takes a step back, brings it back, steps in a very awkward way, and it's just gross for everybody involved. Not a fun sight, and honestly, and obviously, Uriah Hall was extremely upset about it. That is not how anybody wants to win in the UFC. Not only because you don't want to see a guy a guy hurt themselves. You don't ever want to hurt. You're hurting somebody, but you don't want to hurt somebody. You don't want to debilitate them to the point where their career is possibly in jeopardy.
Yeah, for sure.
Uriah Hall, and also you don't want to all those months of preparing, basically shrunk down to one moment. And that's not necessarily the way you want that moment to be struck down to. Is You don't want to be known as the guy who won a fight without throwing a strike.
Yeah, man, and I think it does a lot for their mental aspect of the game for both of them. I mean, these guys trained for a long time and they did want to fight each other. And Weidman has a win over Uriah Hall before they got into the UFC. So Uriah Hall is trying to get that win back, you know. And ask any fighter, they want to get their losses back, you know. And this was his opportunity, and it was prime for both of them to kind of make some noise and continue their either, you know, for Weidman his rebound, or for Uriah Hall like his continued ascent of his little win streak that he got going on. So it's tough, man, when things don't turn out at the very least in a fight, and it ends up in a freak accident, basically a freak injury that's so rare. We can count it on one hand in the UFC that we've seen, and Weidman has been part of. There's only been 3 in the UFC that we know of, and well, I'm sure that there is, and 2 of those 3 involved Chris Weidman. One, you know, his leg breaking, and one somebody breaking their leg on him, which was Anderson Silva. So just a complete freak accident, man. It sucks. You could tell Uriah Hall was shaken by this as much as Weidman, if not more, in his post fight interview in the ring in the octagon. I think he almost cried, or he did cry. You know,
He did cry, yeah.
With that, with what's going on. And then, like I mentioned to you pre-show, I went out and I didn't even know it was there, but I saw Weidman uploaded a video to YouTube, and he hadn't uploaded in like 6 years or something. And he was talking about the moment when it happened and kind of what was going through his mind and stuff. And he said his leg looked like it was made out of rubber. It was bent the wrong way, and he didn't feel pain. He said he didn't feel pain. He said he was trying to slow down his heartbeat because he knew that that's what you needed to do in that situation. Herb Dean was over him and saying that he's out. He's like, but I just had to close my eyes to try to, you know, block everything else out and focus on my breathing.
Yeah.
And he knew that. He said he knows that it happened for a reason, and he's trying to find the silver lining. And what, you know, going back to what I was mentioning about their training, he said he goes, and he did show it later on in the video, but and this is also why Weidman is so frustrating, because you can tell he's not a person who trains a lot, because a lot of stuff has come easily for him. He doesn't take his training seriously. So he said that this is he was in the best shape of his life ever, even when he was a champion. He said the only closest he ever got to this shape and working out as much as he did and training as much as he did was his defense against Lyoto Machida. And that was in 2012. That was nine years ago. And so that, you know, that also is frustrating, because it's like, it's twofold. It's like, what if you had trained like this your whole career, man? Like, how good would you have been? And then 2, maybe your body's not built to be trained like this, because I'm sure you. And he said he was throwing a lot. He throws a lot of leg kicks in training. He just never throws them in the octagon. And so he threw it in the octagon. He said he threw it with everything he had. He said the way it landed, he said this fight is not going to last long because he can't take a lot of those kicks.
Yeah.
And instead, his leg snaps, and the rest is history, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. It's upsetting to see. So if you have a weak stomach, I would suggest you not to look at it. But you know, nevertheless, you know, freak accident or not, Uriah Hall gets the win. And all of a sudden, he is, you know, the 8th spot. I'm not sure if he moved up or down since then, but he's got a bunch of guys who have either lost to Adesanya or haven't fought Adesanya yet. Right above him, he has Hermanson. So we know Hermanson is about to fight Edmund Shavazian at 262. We know he has Darren Till above him. Darren Till is injured, has a broken collarbone, so he's going to be out for an extended amount of time. You have Brunson, who is probably, if all goes right with Vettori, and Adesanya takes out Vettori, could possibly be in the running for a shot against Adesanya. You know, we know Whitaker beat Gastelum, but it was a very good fight, and went all 5 rounds. Whereas Brunson in his last fight, submitted Shabazian. If I'm not
No, his
mistaken.
last fight was against Holland.
Oh, that's right. He dominated Holland for 5 rounds, so he could possibly be in the running. You have Cannonier, who has lost 2 out of Sonya, but hasn't fought since losing to Robert Whitaker. And you have Vittori, who is already slated to get the next shot. Costa, sitting out, is going to be out for a bit, and then Whitaker, who is kind of just waiting to see what happens with Vittori and Adesanya. So it's kind of it's kind of it's kind of just like jumbled up and kind of at a stalemate at the moment with the guys at the top of this division at the moment.
Yeah, so some real quick, man, in this division, we have to talk about it. It's been making the rounds. I wanted to see your take on it. I have my view on it, but apparently in the past day or two, it's come out that the UFC wanted a rematch between Whitaker and Adesanya in Australia, New Zealand. But they were giving it to him on like 3 weeks.
Yes, I've heard about this.
3 weeks notice or something like that. Mm-hmm. And Whitaker turned it down. Said that it wasn't enough time to prepare and that he wanted more time to prepare for Adesanya. Mm-hmm. And now they skipped him over and they went with Vittori. And now the coach of Adesanya is saying that Whitaker shouldn't get the next fight after this fight, that he needs to go back to the back of the line and start over. So I wanted to get your take on that, what you think of that, and kind of what it means in the grander scheme of things.
I think it means that the UFC likes to take advantage of people, and unfortunately they weren't able to take advantage of Whitaker. They weren't able to bully Whitaker into taking a fight on very short notice. If I'm Whitaker and I just went through a 5-round war with Kelvin Gastelum, like, do you think I want to take a fight for, what was it, 3 weeks?
It's like 3 weeks notice.
Yeah, do you want me to take a fight in 3 weeks notice with Israel Adesanya, who, he lost to Jan, but he didn't go through a war with Jan. He was kind of just, taken down and was handled, mm-hmm. And has had a longer period of time to rest. So I don't know, man. I think it's unfair of the UFC to do that thing, like, because from what I heard, it was like immediately after the fight, like immediately after the fight was over, they offered him the fight, and obviously he was like, yeah, and then they're like, okay, 3 weeks notice, and he's like, no, I'm not an idiot, and because he knows what it takes to be a champion, he knows what it takes to beat champions, and if you want to succeed, you don't do that, especially to a guy who knocked you out twice in the same fight. So, I don't blame him. I think Israel's Adesanya's manager is kind of weak for saying that, because Whitaker's not. He's a professional, man. Like he's always been a professional. He takes the fight game very seriously, and I think Israel takes the fight game very seriously too. And he knows what it takes to be a champion. And ask Israel Adesanya if he would take a fight against himself in 3 weeks. I guarantee you he would say no.
Yeah. So my thoughts on the situation are I don't know, man. It's just same stuff, different day from the UFC. They want their fighters to bend over backwards for them, but they won't bend over backwards for the fighters. We're seeing it play out right now with Diego Sanchez, the whole Diego Sanchez situation. Sanchez just released a video. I don't know if have you seen the Diego Sanchez video?
I didn't get a chance to watch it, no.
So it's sad, man. It's sad. He starts crying in there, saying that he's been trying to get a meeting with Dana for the past 12 months, and Dana's ignoring him. He said that he started going out to the what is it, the PI in Las Vegas, trying to get and he won't do it. He said, but your meeting, he's had like 2 or 3 meetings with Clay Guida in that time that he's been looking for one meeting. And he's like, is it because I'm a brown boy? So it's coming up, man. And so what I'm saying is,
he's at the right brown.
Yeah, good for Robert Whitaker for saying no. The UFC is just a machine at this point. Dana White is just churning out fights, and he wants them cheaper. That's why he's doing the contender series to get cheaper talent on there. And he really doesn't care, man. I mean, he cares when you're at the top of the standings, but once you start slipping, he doesn't care about you, man. He moves on. So good for Robert Whitaker. He has a little bit of power right now. He said no, he was going to wait on it. As far as from Adesanya's team, weak is the right descriptor for this. This is so weak on his part. It actually shows weakness for the fight. Since that fight, Adesanya has been doing now that I look at, he's been doing everything possible not to fight Whitaker. So I don't know if he feels that he fought a like a broken version of Whitaker, and now he's seeing the real Whitaker, and he doesn't want to fight that Whitaker. So he's doing everything possible not to fight him. That's to me the more probable, especially with these saying he has to go back to the bottom of the line. Dude, this guy was a champion. Like, he's earned his stripes. Most champions get immediate rematches no matter what, and this guy's beat like the top of the division again just to get back to you. And you're saying he has to go back to the line. That's so weak to me, man. It's so weak. And again, it maybe shows that you don't want to fight him, that you're probably scared of him or scared of this version of him. With now the knowledge that they know of how to beat Adesanya. So very weak, man. Now I really want to see that fight again. I think if we, again, like I mentioned, if we see the guy who fights everybody else except Adesanya, I think it's going to be an interesting fight. If he uses some of his wrestling, it's going to be an even more interesting fight. So I definitely want to see that fight again. But I mean, Vettori's in front of him, man. Vettori is a 205 pounder basically, and he can do the same thing that Jan did to you. So we got to see if he's even going to have that ability, or if we're going to see Whitaker versus Vettori, and then Whitaker can say, you got to go to the back of the line, buddy. You got to, get some wins under you, bro. So I just think it's, go ahead.
I hate this. I hate not being in person. I was gonna say, I mean, Whitaker could always say, "You're on a 2-fight losing streak."
Yeah,
back to the line.
Yeah, not only that, but it's just so short-sighted, man. Like, dude, you're champ now, but you just lost. Like, it's been proven you can lose, and you have lost to somebody in the UFC. And if somebody has that body type, which Vettori does, and has the wrestling background, which Vettori does, and he's a mule, dude. Like, you didn't knock him out the first time you fought. You're not gonna knock him out this time. You know what I mean? Like, and Vettori's smarter now. Like, he really is, man. He's a smarter guy. He's a big meathead, but he's a smart fighter. So it's short-sighted for him to say that, man. Like, if anything, they should have said, look, we respect him. We wanted to fight when we wanted to fight. After this fight, if he's still there, if he's healthy and we're healthy, we'll fight him. Instead of he has to go back to the line, man. Come on, dude. That's weak. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I think he sees that. I mean, you gotta also take into consideration the fact that Adesanya's worst fight, besides the Jan Blachowicz, was against Yoel Romero because he was afraid of Yoel Romero's power, and Whitaker put on wars with Yoel, took the power from Yoel, and had no issues taking the power from Yoel.
Oh, he had some issues. I mean, he had some issues.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had issues, but I mean, he got in there and he banged, whereas Adesanya wasn't willing to. Adesanya played on the outside and did enough to win, and was 100% comfortable winning that way. So, I mean, I don't think Whitaker would be willing to win that way. And now he's putting on five round wars with guys, and not wars in a bad way where he's taking a lot of damage. Just like it's a battle.
Man, I don't know. I'm a Kevin Gastelum fan. He's Mexican. He comes out to mariachi. I love his fighting style, even though he's undersized. But man, I saw this video of him after that fight. Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
And he's just so sad and so down, and he's like talking to everybody in the room and nobody, and he's like, I just didn't. He's like, I was at my best, and I wasn't on. He was on another level. I just didn't know. I shouldn't even been in there with him. And he's just looking around to see if anybody's going to say something like, now, champ, you got, and nobody said anything, dude. And then they do a cut to Whitaker, and he's like, "Oh man, what a fight, man!" You know, with his accent, he goes, "What a fight!"
Yeah.
And he's drinking a beer, and he's like, "Oh, is this Corona? Oh, it's for Calvin. It's for Calvin," and he drinks it for Calvin.
Damn, man.
It's just
It shows that there's levels to this. There's levels to this.
yes, man. And as much as I like Kelvin Gastelum, man, you know, I told you before the fight that I felt Kelvin was as fast as Whitaker, and he is not as fast as Robert Whitaker, man. That's the fastest I've ever seen Robert Whitaker. He was beating him to the punch. His fight IQ is through the roof. He knows how to win. I feel like he's at the top of his game now, which is crazy. And I think that this Robert Whitaker doesn't take the punishment that he took against Romero, but it took those Romero fights to get to this, and it took that Asanya beatdown to get to this. Whitaker, man, Whitaker's really good, man. He's an exciting fighter.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll see where that goes. But let's get into the first main event of the night, of that night, because I don't like to say co-main event if it's title fights. To me, it's a 3 main event fight. I mean, it's a 3 main event card. The first main event, we had Valentina Shevchenko taking on Jessica Andrade. The hype was there, you know. Andrade, not TKO's Chikagian. Who is probably, besides Nunes, probably given Valentina something to think about. Yeah, something to think about, but at the same time, she TKO'd her. And, I mean, she TKO'd Andrade even faster than she TKO'd Chikagian. Shevchenko loves it. Dude, if you let Shevchenko get you in that crucifix position, you are done. You're done. Well, tap out immediately. Because nothing good's happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like you mentioned, there's levels, you know, and there's Shevchenko and there's everybody else, man. And I also feel that Andrade is quickly turning into the next Holly Holm, where she's just gonna keep getting, you know, championship shots, and she's just not there, man. She's just too one-sided, man. Too just one technique. Yeah, man, she's just too easy to decipher. Just avoid her power and avoid her pressure for a round, and then it's game over, you know. And if you remember, which I know you do, Rose was piecing her up, man, in that first round. Rose had her pieced up, and it was like you said, she was playing with her food, but that's probably the best round that Rose has ever fought against anybody at any level, because it was just domination, you know. So Andrade is just not there. She's just a name. She comes in. She's tough, man. She is tough, but when you're in a crucifix position and you're against somebody like a Shevchenko, it doesn't matter how tough you are, man. If you can't defend yourself, you're gonna get beat down, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I agree, man. But I'm looking at the names. There's not much for Shevchenko to do at the moment.
Oh, there is. There is. We talked about it.
Oh yeah, well. I mean, if that's a possibility, obviously, but I don't. You know, if that's not a possibility, I don't know what is going on. And for those who don't know, we're talking about Nunes, talking about Amanda Nunes. Those are her only 2 losses, right? That you told me.
Those are the only losses
on her resume. So
yeah,
but the question is, you know, is Valentina ready to move up and do that fight? Because
well, dude, the thing is that those are her only 2 losses.
I doubt Nunes wants to go down to 125.
No, there's no way. Nunes can't make one. She can barely make 135.
Exactly.
I just feel that, and I went back and I saw the fight. I just feel that those are the only 2 losses that Shevchenko's had, and the second one was arguably not a loss. So it's just a fight to make, man. Go back up to 135 and have Nunes go down to 135 and make this super fight, man. Like, for the fans, for themselves. I know Nunes probably doesn't want it, but that's the best option that Nunes has right now. There's nothing else out there for her at 145 or 135. And I can tell you right now, Shevchenko's not going to walk out like Megan Anderson. She's not going to be pale like she saw a ghost and scared. She's going to be excited. She's going to be saying, okay, I get to prove that the last fight I won, and I'm going to try to show in more dominant fashion. And I can tell you right now, in my opinion, Shevchenko has gotten better and Nunes has either plateaued or basically is the same fighter. Which isn't to say bad because she's the GOAT, you know what I'm saying? But if Shevchenko gave her that much problems as that version of Shevchenko, and she's this version now, smarter, faster, tougher. I mean, I think it would be a great fight.
I mean, we'll see, man. I hope it is, but I mean, if we don't get that fight, um, the only thing I can think of at the moment is Viviane Araujo getting another win under her belt and possibly getting a shot, or we start to get the rise of Miranda Maverick, a very fast rise possibly, based off of this. I mean, based off of these rankings, she could very well make that jump and do that. But I mean, until then, if she's not getting the Nunes fight offered to her, I would just hang out. Don't worry about anything. She's taking care of Andrade. She's taking care of Chikagian. She's taking care of Joanne Calderwood. You look at the other names that are right there. Lauren Murphy, Jennifer Maya. Or she already took care of Jennifer Maya. Sorry. Took care
I
of
think
Jennifer Maya too.
Lauren Murphy's like the only one
who she hasn't really had any dealings with.
Yeah, that's the only one that has anything. And I don't think Lauren Murphy would be scared of her. I don't think she would. But I don't know where they're at on that. If that's something that the UFC wants to see.
Yeah, so we'll see, man. But I mean, congrats to Shevchenko. Go home, enjoy the win, because it's probably not going to be a while before you get a challenger. We got to start seeing, I think, more flyweight fights coming down the pike before we start to look for a new challenger for Shevchenko. She's too good, man. She's just too good. All right, man. Let's go to my heartbreaker. My heartbreaker. Women's strawweight title fight. My girl Zhang Weili taking on Rose Namajunas. Thug Rose. Damn. That's all I can say is damn, man. A beautiful knockout for Rose. I'm not going to be a hater. She got lucky. She got lucky. No, man. Like, Rose looked like she just looked like a new fighter. She looked like a better version of who she used to be. And I think, missing all that time and taking time to work on herself as a person, work on, handling her inner demons that she had to deal with. She comes back looking great. I mean, we knew that we saw what she could do to Jessica Andrade in the first and in the second fight that they had. She handled her for 3 rounds. Like, I mean, took care of business, and Jessica Andrade didn't stand a chance. But I was expecting a lot more in this fight. I thought Zhang Weili was gonna come out, guns blazing. We saw she did basically the exact same thing that she did to Joanna, that Rose did to Joanna, but Zhang was just not on. She maybe wasn't ready for that Thug Rose, and I don't know, man. You get knocked out like that, and I want to say so badly she deserves another shot. But I don't know, man. When you get knocked out like that, it's hard for me to say you deserve another shot, at least for a while. I need at least to see you that you were able to shake the cobwebs loose and get back to that level that she was at. So I hate to say it, but I'm not gonna be on the Zhang Weili is the next challenger train.
Man, so many thoughts to go with this fight, man. Like you mentioned, Rose having to go through that mental fight in her own against Andrade, after what Andrade did to her to get to this point. And with Weili not having lost before, not understanding and knowing how to lose, and how she lost, she didn't lose gracefully, man. She disputed it. She was mad. She was upset. She said it was too fast when clearly she was out, dude. Like, she was out. And then such beautiful technique from Rose, man. I mean, I rewound this thing so many times, and I went back and I saw more of Weili's fights, and she does that a lot. She scoots her hips out to avoid leg kicks, which is one way of doing it, but it opens up your head for a head kick if you do it too fast. And instead of checking it, she could have checked the kick, but she chose to scoot her hips out and her legs out and leave her head open, and Rose looked down, like pretended it's gonna be a leg kick the whole time, and she just didn't see it coming, man. And those ones that you don't see coming, those are the ones that put you on your butt, man. And that's exactly what happened. So, just beautiful technique, man. I don't know about Wei Li not looking on. I felt she was on. I thought she was quick. She was fast, but Rose is just better. And I don't think Wei Li was kind of prepared for that. And it's just levels. It's just levels, man, of preparation. Preparation. I'm sure they saw that a lot. And if it was there, she was going to take it, and that's exactly what she did. Like that technique is not a technique that you throw so early, man, because you got to set up the kicks a lot. At that level. And she just saw her. She just knew it. She just knew that she was doing that. And she said, I'm going to go for it. And she did. And it landed. But I also think, man, and I'm obviously it's something to say, hindsight is 2020. But I don't know, man. I don't know if Wei Li can beat a Focus Rose. I felt like the Andrade knockout was a fluke. So if you look at it, she's basically been the uncrowned champ because of that fluke, I guess. Like if that doesn't happen, I don't think Wei Li beat her back then. I don't think Joanna beats her again. And it's just the Rose show since then, but we didn't see that. We see Wei Li go a badass fight with Joanna, which is basically fight of the year. And then we see this. I agree with you where I don't think she should get an immediate rematch right now. But at some point, they're going to cross paths again. And at that point, we're going to see more of what the what is it called? The real, I guess, story is. If Rose beats her, then obviously this first one wasn't a fluke. It was a good one. It was a good win. If she beats her in any way, whether it's close or whatever, she has 2 wins over Wei Li. If she loses, then we go into the whole DC versus Stipe trilogy kind of deal, where was the first one just because the champ was unprepared, and then they started preparing and they figured her out and they adjusted. So there's a lot going forward between these two. Like we're gonna see them more. I just don't know if it's gonna be an immediate rematch.
So, bro, I don't know what I did to hurt you. I don't know why you're coming at me the way you're coming at me. But no, man. I think with Wei Li, first of all, we got to understand like she hasn't been in the UFC as long as everybody else, and I think that even though Rose looked fantastic and she's always looked great. As we know, when she first became champion, she dealt with certain things. She wasn't mentally in the right headspace while she was champion. She felt like she didn't like being champion, and that leads to bad things. Now she's a lot more focused. She's a lot more on that level, and we haven't seen Wei Li on a loss in the UFC yet. How does she respond to losses in the UFC? Obviously, she doesn't have a perfect record, so she has suffered losses, but we haven't seen it here in the UFC. And as you said, that's how you become a better fighter, is by taking losses and how you handle those losses. Obviously, it wasn't a good look from the closing interview. I also don't agree with interviewing people who got knocked out. I really do hate that. Like it's just like you're talking to someone who one might not even know entirely what happened. She'll say like, "Oh, it was," because like you can say, "Oh, it was early." I don't think I was that. I don't think I was that hurt, or they got lucky. Blah blah blah. And then once you go back and you rewatch it, you're like, "Oh wait, hold on. This is what I was missing because I'm able to look at it subjectively objectively and not have to worry about being in that moment." Also, do you really think someone who just got knocked out and who just was like completely out to the point where the referee had to stop the fight, do you think that they're really fit to be doing an interview? I don't like interviewing people after knockout.
Yeah, I always think that it's basically a concussion, right? So how much did they lose? Like what's the last thing they remember? Do they remember going in the ring? I mean, the octagon, do they remember taking a punch? Like, and you're interviewing them, so yeah, dude, I agree. The emotions are too high. You don't know what they remember, what they don't remember. And Joe Rogan swears he's gonna stop interviewing knocked out people, and yet he keeps doing it, and he keeps doing it, man. So at that point, I think it's a UFC thing, man, and I don't know, just it is what it is.
So next challenger, who is it? Is it Mackenzie Dern? Is it Yan Xiaonan? Is it Carla Esparza? Tell me,
I don't
man.
know. I don't know,
I mean,
man.
Rose. I think Rose has to fight soon, not because she has to prove anything, but I think if she doesn't want to have the weighing, you have to. I'm always going to take into account her mental health. I think if she starts to take like huge breaks, that's when the mental health can really start to those demons can always come creeping back. I don't know, for those who don't know, if you when you're fighting certain demons, if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, if you suffer from anxiety or depression, like that's not something you just get over and then you're done with it. It's a battle you fight for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in her 100%, but sometimes, sitting at home not doing anything is the time when those demons decide to pop up. So I hope that she just kind of stays active and stays healthy, because I want to see a healthy Rose. I don't want to see the Rose that we got at the end of the Jessica and Josh fight, where she has to take a year off to get better. I want to see Rose fighting, because I think the strawweight division is better with Rose in it.
Yeah, man, definitely. I don't know if I sent you that video where the Australian, I think it was an Australian soccer team was talking, or maybe it was a British soccer team was talking, a women's soccer team was talking about her, and how before the fight she was saying, "I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best." She was talking herself, telling herself, not telling people, but just telling herself that she's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Convincing herself. And then afterwards, we all saw, Pat Barry, tell her, "I told you, we talked about this. What did I tell you? Say it. That she's the best. I'm the best. I'm the best." So that's a lot of, confidence building, self-esteem building, which is crazy because she's the freaking best 100 and what is it, 15 pounder? Is it 15 or 25?
115,
No, 115, 115 pounder in the world, as a female fighter, and you're having to convince yourself. So yeah, man, there's a lot of that goes, and everybody's struggle is different. Everybody's walk to the octagon is different. So some people it's easy and that's what they do, and they love to fight, and some people like Rose, it's difficult for them, so. And I don't know what it is. You're saying that maybe, if you put something else, another goal in front of her, it's faster. Maybe she's just the type that needs a year in between defenses. I don't know. I don't know what the right thing for Rose is, man. But I agree with you 100%. Where her fighting brings a lot of joy to a lot of people because she's so good. You know what I mean? And we want to see her, do her craft and be at the highest level and figure out fighters. Like right now, Mackenzie Dern is a great challenge. Why? Because Rose is a black belt, and you can say, and I'll say it, and I've told you that Mackenzie Dern is one of the best black belt practitioners in MMA right now. But she practiced it with the gi. You know, Rose got it a black belt as an MMA fighter. So she has the MMA jiu-jitsu down. You know what I'm saying? So can that nullify the inexperience of Mackenzie Dern in MMA and keep the fight standing? So it's just there's so many cool fights for us to see, but again, we have to see, like you mentioned, her mental health and what's that going to look like going forward, and hopefully it's positive for her, and that gives us some good fights going forward.
Yeah, I mean, just keep her off the mic when she has to fight a foreigner. That's all I'm saying.
Seriously, man.
But other than that, I mean, she could be a great advocate for mental health in fighters and in people just in general, like women and men. I'm a huge advocate for athletes and celebrities who have a huge platform to use that to talk on their issues that they've had to deal with. That's why I applauded Dak Prescott when he came out and said what he had to deal with after COVID, after the quarantine hit, and saying he dealt with depression, he dealt with you know anxiety and stuff. And I know a lot of people were Skip Bayless, you piece of shit, was like saying, don't talk about that, don't say that, like people are going to use that against you. Like, no man, like you're from a different age. Like, this is a much different time where athletes, he was like, oh, people are gonna like defenders on the field are gonna be saying like, oh, what are you gonna go cry about this? I'm like, dude, that's not like defensive players and other people are not going to be using that against him on the field, because that is an extremely serious topic that unfortunately isn't talked about enough, and but is slowly and gradually starting to get towards that good towards that getting towards where people are talking about it and taking it extremely seriously. And the more athletes
normalizing it.
Yeah, exactly. And the more athletes that come out and talk about these things, like you look at the fact that this is a woman who's extremely successful at the highest level, and she deals with the same things that my girlfriend deals with, that other people deal with, and it normalizes them, and it normalizes, like you said, that issue, and makes it so people understand, like, I'm not the only one. I can go out and get help too, and I can be successful where I want to be successful while dealing with this. Because you don't get cured from it; you just kind of you learn to live with it. And she's a great example of that, and that's why I don't want her to go away. Like, so even if she has to take a step back from fighting, I hope she doesn't take a step back from advocating for mental health, especially in fighters.
Yeah, man. At this point, man, one, you want to take that stigma away. Yeah, Skip Bayless is a jackass, man, and he's just old school, and that's just a cop out, honestly, to say somebody's old school. It's just they're ignorant and they don't understand, the progress that we're trying to make as a society, so that we don't have these issues swept under the rug, like concussions. Oh, it's a stinger, shake it off, go back in. If not, you're not a real man. You're not a real
Yeah.
NFL player. And we have to do better. We have to do better and honestly, we have to do better also by not giving people like that the platform that they have, because they just continue to beat that dumb drum over and over and over again. But man, at this point, let's just say Rose walks away. I mean, she can walk away and be an advocate still. She got to the top, she lost it, and then she willed her way back up to the top again, and she won it back again. And so she's a two-time champ now. And she can just talk on that and talk about that journey if she wanted to. So selfishly we want her to fight again, but if she chose to walk away and to be an advocate for mental health, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad thing for this world at all either.
I agree. All right, so before we talk about the Usman Masvidal fight, I'm gonna have to get into the beer, because damn, this fight, man. We're talking about, you mentioned that when fighters are knocked out, they might not know where they are. This was an example of someone literally saying what happened. So I'll be right back, and we'll talk about this fight.
All right. Yeah, man, very excited to talk about this fight between Usman and Masvidal. Big fight, big lead up. Masvidal hadn't fought anybody since the last time he fought Usman, and it was on short notice, and it was a 5-round fight. Kind of a snooze fest. A lot of toe stomping. So I was just kind of doing the lead up of how Masvidal hadn't fought anybody since the last time he fought Usman on short notice. It was a 5-round fight. It was kind of a snooze fest. A lot of toe stomping. And a lot of mess talking from Masvidal afterwards, saying that it was on short notice. So a pretty good build up to the fight. Very excited to see this fight. A lot of people were. I think we both picked Usman, right?
Yeah, we both picked Usman. I was like, after what he did to Gilbert Burns, knocking Gilbert Burns out the way he did, recovering after being hurt badly by Gilbert Burns. I don't know. I just thought, Masvidal taking the time away that he didn't help him, and that's exactly what happened, basically. But we got kind of similar to the first round in the first fight. Masvidal looked very good. Looked very good in that first round. Looked extremely polished. Was hitting Usman with some stuff. Usman was too, but he also had to deal with some of the ground game. But we saw Masvidal get up from that. And I was wondering, going into the second round, is Usman going to start throwing more shots? Is he going to try and get him thinking about the takedown? Didn't have enough time for that. Usman comes in and just sits on that right hand, man, and knocks him out clean. And we're talking about knocked out clean. There was no.
He was in the shadow realm.
Yeah, man, we didn't have to see no. There was no super necessary punches. It was a straight up knockout, and the first time that Masvidal has ever been cleanly knocked out like that. And that's a situation. Even though these two had some crazy animosity going into it, when you get knocked out like that, there's nothing else to say. You just damn, like you did that.
Yeah,
and,
man.
We got a beautiful show of sportsmanship from both guys. Usman obviously throwing in the. I told him, but nothing beyond that. It was a beautiful thing to see, and this Usman is a problem at 170.
Dude. So much to talk about with this fight. Yeah, man, the first round looked good. Actually, for both, really. I mean,
it was a nice little back and forth.
Yeah, Masvidal looked fast. He got up, from a takedown. He didn't look too winded. I did see him kind of like not pressing forward because I think he was trying to save some of his gas. Usman looked a little bit more aggressive and was trying to prove a point, I think to kind of be the bully and say, okay, you had a full fight camp, but you still got to deal with me. And then the second round, yeah, man. I mean, he caught him so clean, man. That technique was perfect. I've told you before, man, that a lot of wrestlers don't understand their power because they've never had to use it because they're wrestlers. They wrestle people down. They hold people that are their weight or heavier down, and they get a bunch of the wrestlers, dude. Are have you seen this too? Are usually very muscular people. Because they just have to because they have to hold other muscular people down, but they don't practice their techniques. They don't practice their striking because they never had to. And this, I mean, Usman is 31 or 32 years old or something like that, and he's just finding his power, man. And he's sitting down his punches and he's sitting down his techniques and he's punching through people now. Like this punch, dude, he wasn't aiming for the chin, he was aiming through him. And I guarantee you, man, I hope somebody asks him, I don't know if they have already, I guarantee you he's going to say, it didn't feel like I touched him, because that's just how the technique works, man. You're just punching through them and they just happen to be in the way, and that's exactly what happened. His chin was in the way. He turned that head, turned the lights out. He went to sleep. And then he got an extra shot in there at the end. And they asked him, did you see the post fight? What they asked him?
No, I didn't.
They asked him, they said, was that, extra shot, what happened there, whatever. He's like, I fight until the ref takes me off. That's what I fight. Absolutely. And they said, yeah, but you saw he was knocked out or something like that. And he's like, well, the fight's not over until it's over. And it was just, super necessary. And he dropped the super necessary on him.
I mean, it wasn't as many as Masvidal gave to Askren, but I mean, I agree. That's exactly what you do. It's like in football, you play till you hear the whistle. You play, yeah. you fight until that ref pulls me off. Like to me, if I'm fighting, I'm not stopping until that ref has to physically pull me off.
Yeah, man. And one thing about Masvidal, man, I've watched Masvidal for a long time, man. I told you, I watched him when he was on Bodog fighting on an island on a beach in a white ring with Fedor as a headliner when he was super young at 155 pounds. I watched him when he got. I watched him before that when he was doing the backyard fighting, and he had that long hair and he was just coming up in jean shorts and stuff. It was just crazy. So I like him, man. I liked him. I've liked him as a journeyman. He's always game. His nickname is Game Bread because that's what he's about, is fighting and the craft of it. He was talking a lot of crap up to this fight, saying he's gonna do this and do that, and he got knocked out cold. And when he came to, like you mentioned, there was some good sportsmanship there. He had to eat his humble pie, and he took it probably as well as you can take it. But honestly, this is the only way you can take it, because if you're any type of a mixed martial artist, you have to, eat humble pie, eat crow every once in a while. And the only and the way he took it is saying he respected it. He respected the technique. He didn't expect his striking to be like that. He thought there was going to be more wrestling, and he trained more wrestling, so he wasn't expecting it, and that's what knocked him out. He didn't see the punch coming. He said as well. So that's the way to take it. The only other way to take it is to be a Kobe Covington and be a complete jackass and say, I don't know, I don't even know how Kobe does it, but apparently that fight never happened, and they shouldn't have stopped the fight, and he was winning the whole fight. And if you look at the Georgia scorecards, I won that fight, and you look like an idiot because Kobe looks like an idiot to everybody. So there's only two ways to do it, and Usman took the way of being humble and understanding that he got beat. He got beat by a better technique, by a better man, and now he's 0-2 against the welterweight kingpin right now.
Yeah, so all he can really do right now is hope that someone's able to unseat Usman, or he has to go on a crazy win streak right now. He's got to start fighting all the guys.
Nobody's gonna want to see him fight Usman ever again. Pretty much. I mean, I'm being honest. I don't think I want to see that fight again. Usman has Khabib'd him, and now he's KO'd him. And man, I don't know if you saw this too, man. There's a beautiful picture, man, of Usman on top of the octagon, Masvidal knocked out with Herb Dean over him, and the BMF title in the background.
Yeah.
on the ground and on the other side of the octagon. It's just I don't know, man. It's just poetic, man. Like Usman is there now, man, and he's like you said before, and we've said it before too, man. He's sharpening all his tools. That's what he was doing, and now he has a full skill set. So now people got to realize, oh my, this guy's coming off of 2 knockouts, against 2 top level fighters, and he broke, Kobe Covington's jaw. This dude has power, so now they got to worry about his power and his striking. Not to mention he's the best wrestler in the division. So what do you do against this guy? How do you beat him?
You push Chimaev to the moon. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. And this is one kind of like with Shevchenko. Just go home and hang out. You don't really have much else to do. I think someone mentioned to me, like, oh, what do you think about the idea of him moving up? I don't want to see it. I don't think I want to see him. That's a lot. That's a huge weight jump, where he's already used to cutting the weight down at right there. And I mean, and he's big for the division. He's a big dude. All of a sudden, you're giving up a huge size advantage that you have at 170 by going to 180, 185, because them dudes over there at 185 are gigantic, man. They're coming in at like you said with Marvin Vettori, he's fighting at 205.
Vettori comes in at 214 pounds, dude.
That's insane, man. That's not what I want to see it personally Usman deal with, because you're not going to be able to do what you do there. Obviously, the striking is up to par too, but there's a lot of great strikers at 185 as well. So,
you also got to ask, does the power translate at a higher weight division? So no, I don't want to see him go up, man. The only fights he has left are rematching Kobe Covington. He has Leon Edwards out there, and he has Wonder Boy. And if he gets through those 3 fighters, which I would favor him on all those fights, then at that point you have to start really thinking about moving up, or I don't know, hopefully, 3 fights, you think he'll fight those in the next 18 months, every 6 months, let's say, for example. You got to build somebody up in 18 months, man. That's your only option.
Yeah, man. It's very, it's kind of up in the air. I would love to see like a Vicente Luque make a run, but damn, man, it's just a long. It's just, I don't know. It's just hard to see that happening. I do, because I didn't even realize how young Vicente Luque was until I remember, I looked up and I was like, oh shit, he's only like 28 years old.
Yeah, but he's been in a lot of wars, though, man.
Yeah, so he's got that. He does have that chin where every now and then he's gonna get knocked out by a Wonder Boy. So I think, to me personally, because he hasn't fought him yet, probably Wonder Boy would be at the top of the list because Leon Edwards just can't catch a break, man. Every time he's
Ridiculous.
supposed to fight somebody, they get hurt, they catch COVID. It just sucks, and it's nothing against him either. Like it's not, it has nothing to do with him. It's just
Mm-hmm.
now that he's finally accepting fights, we're having to wait a little bit longer to see them.
Dude, well,
So
somebody said this, and I was like, okay, I'm sorry, man. I like Leon Edwards. I like him, and I feel he'd be a good fight against Usman. Not a great fight, a good fight, but he hasn't won a fight since 2019
yeah,
because that fight with Bilal Muhammad doesn't count.
mm-hmm.
So he hasn't won a fight since 2019.
Yeah,
So
because he even lost the back. He even lost the backstage fight, the backstage brawl between him and Masvidal. I mean, Masvidal gave
so
him two piece in the soda.
he lost the BMF title right there. He didn't even know he had it.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, exactly. That I mean, at that point, Dana already gave it to him. Dana already
Yeah,
gave it to Masvidal. He was like, "Oh,
Masvidal.
you're starting fights at backstage. Here you go. This is really this is now the WWE. Take that." But
Exactly.
yeah, there's just a lot of people. There's some people that are so quiet that I need to see something from. Chiesa, man, I don't know what's going on with him. Why he's not fighting?
He's
I don't know
fighting.
if
He's
he's.
fighting somebody. They just announced it.
They just announced it. Okay, good. Because I don't know if he was trying to get comfortable in the
Oh,
booth.
I think Usman called him out.
I would love to see that fight. I mean, someone with the same wrestling acumen of Usman, but I mean, not the same, but you know, it's on par. Chiesa can wrestle with some of the greats, but I mean, the striking is going to be an issue, and most likely Usman would do his best to keep the fight standing, uh, because he knows that he would have such an advantage over Chiesa in the striking.
Okay,
So
so Usman says he wants Chiesa next. This is 1 day ago.
I'm for it. I'm game for it. I mean, now why haven't we? How do you not say something back immediately if you're Chiesa? Like, why is the first thing you say like, "Yeah, let's do
Because
it"?
Chiesa was calling out Covington and Leon Edwards. He's not trying to fight Usman. That's funny.
I mean, he's like, "Let me get these two guys underneath my belt," and I would like to see Covington versus Chiesa. Uh, that'd be a good fight, but I don't know. I just want to see. I want to see Chiesa get back in the octagon, man. I really do. But that was the end of that card. Obviously, for such a big card, we went over. Luckily for this upcoming card, for this next card we're talking about, there's not really much to talk about except for at the very top of the card. I do want to bring up the Random Marcos DQ on Luana Pinheiro. What did you think of it? Did you see it?
I saw it. I saw it.
The
I saw
illegal
it.
kick. What do you
Yeah.
think of it?
I honestly, man, and you know how I am, man, where I'm always usually on the side of the fighter, even like the Aljamain Sterling fight, like I'm always on the side of the fighter. Like they're just in a no-win situation from that standpoint because they took damage illegally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not ideal to come back from, because if you lose, you're always gonna be like, man, well, I took that illegal knee and I should have just stopped it right there, you know, and we just reset it because it was an illegal knee and it wasn't my fault. In this
Mm-hmm.
instance though, man, she did not want to fight. She wanted it. She wanted out, and she milked it, dude. She milked it. Um, it was really really hammed up, in my opinion. Like, you don't get carried out like that if you're that hurt, dude. You get stretchered out, you know. And she got carried out by one of her cornermen. It's just, I don't know, man. I just didn't like the look, man.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I'm right there with you. I think the fact that to me it's a big tell when the fighter asks, "Is this? Am I going to get the win or not, or is this going to end the fight or not?" Like to me, you shouldn't even be focused on that. If you really want to fight, why are you asking that question? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Give how you're actually feeling, and the ref will make his decision based on that, or the doctor will make their decision based on that. But um, which is funny because like she wasn't doing horribly against Random Marcos, but it seemed like Random Marcos had kind of she had a lot more energy compared to Pinheiro,
Yeah.
and like she was coming out a lot more aggressive than Pinheiro was. And that's Random Marcos. We know Random Marcos is kind of what you get with her. So I was probably expecting like a 3-round fight, probably a decision. Um, that, from what we were looking at, was probably going to go Randa's way, but it could have been a turning point at some point. But yeah, Pinheiro was just not having it, and it just sucks to see that happen. And you feel bad for Randa Marcos because obviously, like, it didn't look like it. She wasn't throwing the kick to damage. She wasn't throwing. It looked like she was trying to kick her away from her, but not try to strike her.
Yeah, I mean, the way it looked like was that's what she was doing. She was trying to push her off so she could stand up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you're it's a scramble. It's a scramble, and it wasn't. I mean, it just didn't look like that much of a hard kick, you could say. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're a different breed. They step in the octagon and they're prize fighters. But that looked like I need to get out of this. I don't think I'm going to win. Let me go ahead and get out and get my win money, and then I'll live to fight another day.
So just 1 second, man. 1 second.
Sure. Yeah, so it was a bad look all the way around.
So yeah, man, sorry about that. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I want to also, before we head out, and before we get to the rest of the card, performance of the night bonuses for the past, I want to say 4 fights, because I don't even think we really touched on them. So UFC on ABC2, Julian Marquez versus Sam Alvey got fight of the night. So those guys got to take home $50,000. Mackenzie Dern and Gamrot took home the $50,000 for performance of the night bonuses. Then we look at UFC on ESPN 22, which is Whitaker versus Gastelum. And Whitaker versus Gastelum got the fight of the night. So they both got to take home $50,000. Then you had Gerald Mearshart taking home a nice little $50,000 for himself. And Tony Gravely, who I think at lightweight is going to be an issue once he starts to get more fights under his belt. This guy is very good. I'm just going to say that. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. For this fight, UFC 261, Jeff Molina versus Kilang Aori got the fight of the night bonus. So they got the nice $50,000. Got to take home the $50,000. Kamaru Usman and Rose Namajunas took home the $50,000 for performance of the night. And then for this one, UFC on ESPN 23, Jiri Prohaska versus Dominic Reyes got the fight of the night. Prohaska and Giga Chikadze took home the $50,000 for performance of the night. So Jiri is going home $100,000 richer than his purse. So if that doesn't tell you that Dana likes him some Jiri, Dana likes him some Jiri.
I mean, but let's be honest. If you were to say there was a performance this year that got $100,000 two performance bonuses, I mean, you can't kind of do it better than that performance that he had, at that level for all the stakes. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the main card. As I said, not really much to see. I will say with Javashvili versus Cody Stamann, this was the most we've seen Javashvili challenged. And there was a point in the second round where I thought, man, I think Stamann might be turning the corner on this fight. Unfortunately for Stamann, Javashvili was able to get it back and win the fight. But this was the first time I think we've seen Merab really challenged, and he adjusted the way he needed to adjust. So that's a lot to say for him too as well. But Stamann is no joke either, man.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this fight, man, because one, I like Radashvili. His nickname is the Machine, and he kind of showed it here too. He just turned his machine to the next notch, and he was able to kind of win that way. But I wanted to see this fight because Stamann has really good wrestling. He has really good wrestling. Coming into this fight, I still thought, and what is it, Vadashvili, however you say his name, had better wrestling, and I was telling my brother and my cousin that were watching it that there's levels to it, but man, the gap wasn't as big as I thought, because they were really close, and that's what made it such a good fight. And that's what you need, man. You need a base of wrestling, because if you can't wrestle, Radazvili just gonna freaking ragdoll you. And when
Yeah.
you took that away, he had to figure out a different way to win, and he did, because he's a veteran and he has a good fight IQ and he's tough as nails. Both of these guys are tough as nails. I don't take anything away from Cody Stamen, man. Like he didn't lose a lot in this loss. If anything, he kind of
He gained
gained
something with
something. Yeah,
it.
because the machine is a beast, dude. And nobody wants to fight him, man.
Yeah. I agree, man. I think Stamen really made a name for himself in this fight, and when you can make a name for yourself in a loss, um, that's just shows how good you are. Like you said, the wrestling background definitely helped, and I think standing Stamen showed that if he was just able to probably stop a few more takedowns, because he was landing some really nice uppercuts on Javashvili,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and really made Javashvili think about and reconsider shooting in some points. So a great fight from both guys. It was a lot of fun to watch. Javashvili is just another animal, and sorry, and you love to see it. That was a great fight. I actually didn't watch the Sean Strickland and Christoph Jocko fight. Did you watch this?
I did watch that fight.
All right, give me your thoughts on it.
So, man, Sean Strickland, before this fight, the two fights that he's come in before, he's been um, overlooked, underrated, underdog, and he doesn't look like a fighter, man. He doesn't have the chiseled body. He has this face that looks like he's scared, but he has technique and power and speed, and he just comes forward. This is the first fight where it looks like Jotko did his research and realized that he can't play around with him, because he'll
Mm,
get knocked out. And he fought that way. He fought on his back foot the whole fight, backing up, just countering him, and it didn't work because Strickland was teeing off on him. And I think in the second round he hurt him. He almost knocked him out towards the end of the round, and the bell kind of saved him a little. And then he was just on his bike for the whole third round. So it was a clear decision win for Strickland. But it was interesting to see the respect that Jocko gave him, because he has knockout power. He doesn't look like it. I'm telling you, man, he doesn't look like it. He doesn't look like he's the top, you know, um, fighter in the UFC, but he is, man. So I definitely, and just he's basically a toned down version of Kevin Holland, because he talks mess while he's fighting to his
mm,
opponent, and that's he was doing it again in this one, kind of
love it.
egging him,
I love it.
on to throw.
Mhm.
So we're good. We're gonna get to see more of him, man, and he has a weird background too, man. I saw a video this week about him, and it was kind of sad. Apparently, he had some, father issues, and his father passed away. Um, and so he mentioned it at the post fight presser in a very derogatory way. He said, like, he's dead, so F him, right? And apparently he had a bad upbringing with his father.
Mm.
So, and I think another fighter kind of chimed in on that, which was Nate Quarry. Nate Quarry chimed in on it, saying, talking about his experience and how his, like, in general, fathers of a lot of men like his age did the best they could, but they basically hurt them,
Mhm.
and he's like, that's why I chose fighting as an outlet to get my rage out, and I'm sure that's why it happened to him as well. So just basically it's a cycle, and to break the cycle. But he looked good, man. I definitely, since the last two knockouts he's had, one of them was on last minute notice, like 2 weeks notice before the fight. He knocked out both of them. Uh, I want to see more, man. It's just weird seeing a guy that doesn't look like Uriah Hall knocking people out.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. All right, right here at light heavyweight, we had a 3-round draw. Ion Kutalaba and Dustin Jacoby. So, did you ever get to see what Kutalaba did at the
Mm-hmm.
weigh-in?
I
Oh,
saw it.
man, we have to stop. I think Dana has to do something to stop these physical confrontations at the weigh-in, because obviously we saw with who was it again?
With what's his name? Jeremy Stevens
Yeah,
and
Stevens and Jakar Close.
Jakar Close.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that you can lose fights because of this. It's just I think it's got to put stop to it. Obviously, I mean, it was a lot more personal, I guess, but it wasn't as bad as the push because he grabbed his neck. But at the same time, like you can hurt somebody grabbing their neck like that. So I think you got to put a stop to it. I don't. I did watch this fight. I don't remember much from it. I need to go back and rewatch it. So go ahead and lead the way on this one.
This fight was your classic, and I think somebody called it out on Twitter. A fighter, Kudalaba, came out guns blazing, and he was dominating that first round. Man, I mean, to the extent that they called it a 10-8 round, and it was frustrating because he had Jacoby in this one, basically a back lock where he's on his back and he's just holding him. And ragdolling him and pushing him down and beating him up.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
and he couldn't do anything, man. Jacoby, like, dude, come on, man. That's like basic counter wrestling to get out of that, and he couldn't figure it out. And what I'm saying that the fighter said on Twitter that they highlighted was scorching pace by Kudalaba. Can he keep it up for 3 rounds? And in fact, he could not. And Jacoby won the next 2 rounds, but because all 3 judges scored the first round 10-8, and all 3 judges scored the next 2 rounds for Jacoby, it was 10-9. It was basically a draw. So, I mean,
I'm gonna say this is why sometimes I think I would prefer the pride rules, because it's the whole idea of it's not round by round. It's about how the fight goes and basically who's on top at the end of the fight. Obviously, Jacoby wasn't able to handle the pressure in the first round, and obviously with the what's the first round again in Pride rules?
It's a 10-minute round.
No, 10-minute round. There you go. So it's a 10-minute round, then you get 2 5-minutes, right?
That's right.
So, like, you're like, okay, it's a longer round, but I also don't think Ion Kudalaba would have been able to do that for 10 minutes. So you would have seen possibly Justin Jacoby get out of it a little earlier, and then, it's about a different fight. So, I think that sometimes I would prefer not to look at fights round by round. I would prefer to look at it, who won the fight, who's on top, who's starting to make way and really starting to hurt somebody, because someone could have a great, fantastic third round, but just happen to not be able to get out of a takedown in the first 2 rounds and lose the fight, even though they might have probably had them almost finished on the ground. Just things like that where you're like, man, sometimes those pride rules are a little bit better.
Might I interest you in a little one championship, sir?
Absolutely.
They do have the pride rules, but they do 5-minute rounds, and they also have the yellow cards and the red cards. So they're on TNT now on Thursdays, and they're in the middle of a tournament. So if you want to watch it, man, that literally just came up last week with Eddie Alvarez losing because he lost the fight, even though he probably would have won the rounds. Because he got beat up in that first round. So, man, that's definitely something to watch for one championship. But I agree, man. I think that sometimes a sport takes itself too seriously as a sport, but it's a fight. I mean, that's what it is. It's a fight. And I still go back to, in my opinion, George St. Pierre's first loss was against BJ Penn, an undersized BJ Penn, because BJ Penn, beat him up for 3 rounds, but GSP won the fight on points. And after the fight, GSP was in the hospital, and BJ Penn always points to this. GSP was in the hospital, and BJ Penn was out at the bar drinking beers. So, that fight, in my opinion, BJ won, and if it was the pride rules, BJ would have won that fight. So, yeah, I mean, I agree that it's a lot. To me, it should be more like that because we're watching a fight. We're not watching a traditional sport.
Yeah. That's why sometimes you also got to look at damage, man. Like, I mean, you got to look at how someone looks. Like, are they beaten up? Are they all bloodied up? I look back to the and you disagree with it, the Joanna and Wei Li. Joanna had a big ass welt on her forehead, and Wei Li, had swollen eyes, but it was a 5-round war, so it's expected.
Yeah, but Wei Li
big old. Yeah, I know exactly. But I'm just saying, like, it's that you had the same thing kind of with Dan Hooker and Paul Felder, where both guys had a war. You could say, obviously it wasn't a robbery, but a lot of people said Felder won. But in my opinion, I was also looking at the fact that Felder was beaten up badly. So that's the way I look at it. But I'm also not a judge, so don't worry about that. Next up, co-main event: Giga Chikadze, Cub Swanson. Giga really trying to make that next leap into the top tier of the featherweights, and I think he just did it. This is from a guy who before his last fight, I was saying we got to see finishes, and now we've seen him twice in a row. One off of a knockout, and the second one off of a TKO via a liver, a nice little kick to the liver, the Giga kick. He calls it the Giga kick.
It's called the Giga kick. Everybody calls it that now.
So yeah, the Giga kick right to the liver. Cub, it was immediate. Like immediately as soon as it hit, Cub was not able to continue. Honestly, I think that needs to be a for sure TKO personally. Like instead of making Giga have to go down there and lay down some more punches on him, maybe as soon as that liver punch happens, call the fight because he's not getting up from that. Like no one's ever like recovered from a liver punch. It's basically game over.
I mean, there's been some that can do it, but it's tough, man. It's super tough, and
a different breed.
You just basically gotta go for like a takedown or what is it, or a clinch even, and go into a takedown. Or maybe turtle up and just not get hit in the stomach again. But it's definitely difficult, man. It's definitely difficult to do. I don't know, man. I mean, at first, my initial thought is Cub Swanson is a tailor-made opponent for Giga. A striker in MMA going up against a kickboxer. The kickboxer is gonna win because Cub Swanson doesn't have wrestling. He doesn't wrestle. Yeah. He has counter wrestling. But Giga's not trying to wrestle him at all, So, nice. So you're basically going, striker for striker, and the kickboxer he's had a career in kickboxing, and he's a champion in kickboxing. He's gonna win every time for the most part. You know what I mean? So yeah. So it's a tailor-made fight for him. So I didn't want to put too much stock in it, but then I started thinking, well, I mean, who in the featherweight division? What wrestlers are there? Like legit wrestlers?
Let's look at it. Why don't we take a look? Oh man, I didn't mean to click on that. I don't want to look at Marlon Rice. So you have at the top, obviously you got Volkanovski, who's not going to wrestle. Mm-hmm. You have Max Holloway, who will stand and bang. Will literally tell you, "Hey, let's stand here in the logo and let's just throw," and we'll do it. So that's obviously not there. Brian Ortega isn't a wrestler, but he does have some Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You also look at Yair Rodriguez, striker. Mm-hmm. Korean Zombie. He's a striker, but he can get on the ground and do his thing. Mm-hmm. Calvin Kattar, boxer.
That's what I'm saying. There's no wrestlers, man.
Josh Emmett, boxer. Arnold Allen, like a brawler, kind of.
Well, Josh Emmett's a wrestler that found his power, but he's hurt, so he's not going to fight many times soon.
Dan Ige, striker. He's in a stand and bang with you. Burgos, striker, and then you have Giga, obviously striker. Sadiq Youssef, another striker. Like, all these guys are strikers, man. And you're right.
That's what I'm saying. So I was like, okay, then that is a good win for him because there's nothing but strikers in the division, man. And when there's nothing but strikers in the division, and this guy is arguably the best striker in the division because he has a career as just striking, it's gonna be tough for somebody to beat him, man. Like I'm looking at a fight with him and Holloway, and I'm like, how can Holloway beat this guy? Because Holloway's just gonna keep coming forward, but this guy's gonna outland him. And it's not just boxing, he's a better boxer for sure, but he's gonna be getting kicked left and right as soon as he's in range, and he's fast. He knows how to kick. He knows how to set it up. And if he's not worried about a takedown, it's going to be difficult. Okay, so you look at him and Ortega. How's Ortega going to take him down? He's going to try to box him. He's going to try to I don't know what he's gonna try to do, and he's a worse boxer than Holloway. You look
Yeah.
at Zombie. Zombie's the same thing. He got lit up by Ortega. So
Got
you
knocked
know,
out by Yair.
yeah, Yair. You look at Yair. Yair's just a funky striker who's fast. How is he
We
gonna try
don't.
to? You know what I'm saying? Like every
Yeah.
fight is gonna favor Chikadze at this point. So it's very interesting, man. It's we'll see if somebody decides to say, okay, well, and I'm saying this too. All these guys do wrestle because they have to know how to counter wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
So will one of these guys say, I'm gonna take this dude down and either blow this hype train and figure it out? I don't know who's willing to do that, man. These guys have big egos. They think that they're gonna be able to outstrike a striker, and they end up getting liver kicked, and it's game over.
Yeah. Also, we got to point out, Zabit is nowhere on the rankings because of some personal issues. It seems like so. That's probably another guy that's a guy who I could have seen possibly competing striking wise with Giga because he's got all these crazy kicks, he's got innovative offense, but with him not there, he's kind of got his own lane in the featherweight division. So,
Mm-hmm.
did he call anybody out? I didn't see the interview. Did he call
He,
anybody out? Or
he didn't, but he called them out later on social media, and he just said something like, "Please, guys, fight me. I'm not dangerous. I don't hit hard or something like that. Like just an overall challenge to anybody."
Mhm. Well, good win from Chikadze for Chikadze. This, like I said, this is a guy who we were saying needs to start finishing guys, and now he's starting to finish guys. So
Mm-hmm.
look out for him for sure. All right, man. Now we've got the crazy spinning back elbow knockout by Jiri Prohaska. And as soon as this fight started and these guys started to throw, I said, this fight is not going 5 rounds. I literally said it out. I said it out loud to myself while I was watching. I was like, this isn't going to go 5 rounds. My girlfriend was like, my girlfriend was ready to go watch TV. And I was like, I got the main event. And she was like, oh. And as soon as the first round started, I was like, hey, babe, don't worry about it. It's gonna be over quick. It's gonna be over.
Yeah, I think that's how we were as well. We were like, man, these guys are throwing. Jiri was just putting a lot of pressure on, but Cruz was there for it too. Uh, I don't know, man. It was a good fight. It was a good fight. The outcome was crazy to say the least. And dude, I was going back too, and I was looking at that up kick that Reyes landed on him. Well, not why did I say Cruz? Dominic Cruz. I meant Reyes. That that Reyes, right? Dom Reyes, right?
Yeah,
That
Dominic
he,
Reyes.
yeah, that he landed on him, dude, and it looked like Jiri was out for a second, dude, like a split second.
He panic wrestled.
Yeah,
He
dude, and
panic
I was
wrestled.
like, oh man. So it's just so close that when you have that win there, and then I don't know, man. I'll let you talk about it and see what your thoughts on it were. Then I'll tell you how I felt that it ended, and the things that Jiri did good and the things that Dom did wrong.
So Jerry moves forward. He doesn't have a reverse button. He only goes forward. Which when you're going up against a guy like Dominic Reyes, who's shown that he's got one touch knockout power, that he can knock you out with one hit, um, that just shows the confidence he has in himself, the confidence he has in his ability to be able to take a punch. With that being said, he's not great at evading punches. He doesn't have great head movement. He's kind of standing still when he's throwing punches. He stands still and is allowed to. Think about Dominic Reyes would maybe throw like two really good punches that landed squarely, but then Jiri throws back like three, four, five, and that I think was probably the turning point or the like the thing that kind of flipped it on into Jiri's favor was because of the fact that he was not only throwing with power, but he was also throwing with volume. And eventually that volume became a lot. Like think about like in the finishing sequence, he threw a big elbow that Dom, by
Block.
all extent of it, blocked it, but wasn't ready for the spinning back elbow that landed, and it landed square. Like
Yeah, it's not that he wasn't ready, man. So let me tell you how I saw the fight, man. So you're right, man, about Dominic Reyes, that he has one punch knockout power. He still has that, and you saw it too. He rocked Jiri, I think like twice on the feet. I
Mhm.
think the problem was that he kept coming forward, and Dom is a counter puncher. He's a counter puncher.
Yeah.
He did it against John Jones. And the problem with Jiri, like go back and watch it, because when I'm gonna say, you're gonna be like, no way. There's too many openings for Dom. There's too many
Mhm.
openings. So he kept throwing everything because it was open. And that kind of messed him up because he wasn't hitting anything right, and he was getting tired. He was getting tired because he was overworking himself. So the finishing sequence was the same thing. He threw an elbow, and he overcommitted, and he lunged, and Dom Reyes, his eyes were big. He's like, oh, he messed up. I'm about to punt. And then he got knocked out because he didn't see the elbow coming. So
Yeah.
he saw it as an opening, as an opportunity to try to knock out Jiri, when in fact, by doing that and by being overly aggressive on the counters, it's what ended his night. And it all started from that, because he kept countering, 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 and he played right into Jiri's fight,
Yeah.
because Jiri is able to keep up that pace. Dom isn't
Yeah.
able to keep up that pace. And so I think the what he should have done, maybe in the future, I don't know, or anybody against that fights Jiri that's counter puncher, is you have to pick your spots against him, because, like you said, he's easy to hit. He has a granite chin, but we also saw him get hurt a couple times in this fight.
Mhm.
So you have to pick and choose when you're gonna attack him, and you have to choose it where you rock him so he doesn't come forward as much, and you can't just throw every opening, because he's gonna be open, but that's also setting up his game, because he wants you to throw, he wants you to get tired, he wants you to keep you know wasting your energy, because he's
Mhm.
gonna have more energy than you, and,
Yeah.
and that's how he gets you in the end.
Yeah, man. I actually 100% agree with you with that. The one thing, so I like Jiri a lot. The one thing I don't like that we just said, he gets hit a lot. And ask anybody, you can take a punch until you can't take a punch anymore. Um, and I just don't want that to be his legacy of like, oh, he's just gonna like if you can hit him, he's gonna go down. Like eventually he's gonna go down. If you can just handle his power, not tire yourself out, because eventually that's someone's gonna find that is gonna find that that blueprint of okay, just got to make sure that I pick my spots and against probably a better striker, even though we know Dominic Reyes is a really good striker, but like a more polished striker maybe.
A more
Uh,
Polish, you mean?
a more polished striker. No, I mean obviously, dude. Think about Jan. Jan's gonna throw like like
Yeah, but Jan
Jan's gonna.
Jan Jan probably has more power than Dom does,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. He's got that
and
Polish power for sure.
and he's also a counter puncher. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if you saw this, but he mentioned the fighting Yuri in this city. He specifically named a city, and the background to that is there's a city that's half in Poland and half in
Oh, cool.
Czechoslovakia, and it's like something where they're like they're like brothers in arms, and they're brothers at war. Like they hate each other and they love each other at the same time.
That's
And
kind of
so
cool.
he said, yeah, and he said whenever they fight, he wants to fight them there.
That's pretty sweet. That's like a little nice. I mean, it's the same as like putting Whitaker versus Adesanya in either Australia or New Zealand. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
those two places hate each other, but at the same time, they probably like each other more than they like the rest of the world. So
exactly.
uh, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I think you should get someone that's more polished. Would probably have a better time against Jiri, but also we got to see Jiri. Um, it's gonna take that one. Like I think eventually Jiri's gonna get like flatlined the same way that Dominic just got flatlined. The question is when's that gonna be, and how does he bounce back from that? Because I mean it's bound to happen. We have to also take into consideration that this kid was supposed to be in the UFC a few years ago.
He
They
turned it
offered him
down.
and he turned it down and said I'm not ready, and that takes a lot of like inner reflection to be able to say like I don't think I'm ready for that, and that can really hurt my career going forward being thrown to the wolves like that.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the UFC do it lately with some of these people, with some of these fighters that have won contracts in the Contender Series that maybe possibly weren't ready for the big time, because they are fighting people on the same level as them. Not amateurs, but not as many professional fights. A lot of these fighters that we see coming and getting these contracts are like, they have like less than 10 fights on their career, and giving contracts, they get to the UFC and have all this, all this hype behind them, and all of a sudden they get humbled. So it's interesting to see a guy like Jiri, who has the inner reflection to be able to say, I'm not ready for this, and he's possibly ready for a fight against Jan. I don't know how it would go. That's probably going to be one of the closest spreads, closing betting lines whenever that fight happens.
Man, one thing you mentioned about Jiri, and he proved it again in the post fight, man. I'm fascinated by Jiri, man. I'm fascinated by him. I struggle with guys coming into the UFC and getting title shots quickly, or getting a lot of hype behind them quickly, because there's a lot of other guys that have been paying their dues, fighting the toughest competition. But then there's guys like Jiri that are like different, and he's different, and he's different in the good ways, I would say, of a martial artist, and he's legitimate martial artist, and he thinks about it that way. And in the post fight, he made two big statements or comments or trains of thoughts. They asked him, about his $100,000 bonuses, and he said he was very reflective, like you mentioned, and he said, that he was not going to lie and say that the girls and the cars and the parties on the boats, on the big boats, that they don't call to him, that they don't, like, he's not going to lie and say that it doesn't, but he also knows what's important to him, and that he just wants to go back and start training already, because he knows what's ahead of him, so he's very focused. He's very focused. I was at the press conference. Immediately after the fight, he went to the desk, where they have the whoever, the ESPN, and with Karen Brown and Tyron Woodley. And Tyron Woodley asked him, something about what do you do now where people want to see the finish, and people want to see this, and people want to see whatever. And he told him that all that stuff outside is BS. He said it's all about what you do inside, and if you take care of your training and you respect it, it's going to pay off in here. And I want to be exciting. He's like, but if I do my training how I'm supposed to do it, it's going to translate over here. And he said, and all everybody says, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. It's all what matters is in here. Yeah. And that was a big statement to me. So that's what I'm saying. Like, he is the antithesis of John Jones to me. He's what would happen if John Jones took it seriously, instead of partying, cocaine, juicing, crashing into people and running. If he took it seriously, we would see another Jiri, basically, or Jiri would be the second coming of John Jones or something. As good as John Jones has been, can you imagine if he had that mentality?
So it's true. That's very true. So great things coming Jiri's way. We'll see if it leads to a fight against Rakic, or if it leads to a fight against Blachowicz. We have to keep in mind that Blachowicz and Glover still has not been even scheduled yet. So we are still waiting for that to happen. And you have to assume, I mean, if Jan can knock out Glover in early, then great. If Glover can knock out Jan early, then great for them. But I don't think either guy is going to be taken out that quickly. Glover is a veteran of the game, and Jan is tough. Is tough as hell. So I don't know we're going to be probably getting a 6-month wait after that fight happens before we get another one. So probably don't hold your breath. And who knows? Maybe Jiri is one of those guys where he says, "You know what? I want to fight. Like, I want to fight."
Well, the thing is, man, real quick, Rakic called out Jiri.
Yeah,
he wants to fight him, man. And good for him, because nobody's calling out when you're number 3. Let's go down the line. I mean, we don't have time, but you can go down the line of all the number threes in every division and see if they're calling out fighters that are ranked lower than them, or they're just trying to wait for a championship fight. So, great on Rakic for calling out Jiri. It's a fight the fans want to see. We don't know if that's going to be in the cards or if they're just going to, cut him to the front of the line, and we'll see Rakic later down the line fighting for either the winner.
At the moment, Jiri is ranked above.
They ranked him above.
Yeah, he's out now at number 2, and Rakic is number 3.
So he jumped him.
Reyes is now number 5 because I believe it was 2 and 5. They might have just swapped spots.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Because it just says. Oh, actually, no. Reyes was 3, and Rakic was 2. Because it has Rakic going down 1. So yeah, they had Jiri drop him, and I texted you why. They both went up against guys that took John Jones to the limit. One put on a very boring but very dominant fight against Thiago Santos with Rakic, whereas Jiri knocks out in highlight fashion. Which one's going to be nicer and more pretty and sexier to Dana? And it's Jiri, and now we're seeing that with the rankings here.
I think it's the hair.
That's probably that too. Even though I saw someone say that is I think someone who does hair said that is a weave. Like there is that is not all his hair. So he is a liar. He's a faker, and I think it should be chopped off immediately.
I definitely think you should tell that to his face.
I won't. All right, man. So we're about to head out real quick. Marina Rodriguez and Michelle Waterson, interestingly enough, at flyweight because of how fast this fight has to happen. But I think when you have two people fighting at the same fight at the same weight, you can still have it affect the rankings because they basically both said, "Hey, we're taking this on short notice. Let's both fight at flyweight, but let it also affect the strawweight rankings." Marina Rodriguez, Waterson. Where are you leaning, man? Both women coming off of wins, and pretty good wins too. Waterson off of a more like war type win with Angela Hill, but I think personally was the better fighter in that fight. And Marina Rodriguez, who submitted the girl who I think is going to be champion in the next few years at strawweight, in Amanda Ribas. So, where are you going with this fight? What do you think?
I'm thinking Rodriguez, man. Waterson is inconsistent in my playbook, and it's interesting too. Both of the women who they fought are fighting on the undercard. Ribas is fighting Angela Hill.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. We see the return of Gregor Gillespie. So that's going to be a good fight.
His soul knocked out of him.
Yeah, that's going to be a good fight. We got Neil Magny and Jeff Neal, the battle of the Neils at welterweight, and then we got Donald Cerrone versus I think it's a Houston native, Alex Morono, who's also been hit or miss there.
Yeah,
welterweight. So I don't know, man. I got Rodriguez on this fight. I just think Waterson, and I like Waterson. I like her fight style, but I just think she's inconsistent, man. And Rodriguez was pretty dominant against your girl Ribas, and she basically knocked her out.
You watch it.
Right? She knocked her out, right?
She knocked her out. Yes, you watch it. You watch what you say. I don't know, man. What's going on when I'm backing these girls? They're getting knocked out. I don't like it.
Yeah, dude. So you gotta reverse the curse, man. You gotta pick the other one, the one that you don't want to win.
Okay, I'm gonna be backing Marina. No, I'm just kidding. I like Marina Rodriguez. I think she's great. But with Waterson, she's so fast. I think she's probably the fastest woman in the division. The way she throws with such speed and precision. Every time Angela Hill tried to get close to work that Muay Thai, Waterson was doing just enough to keep her at bay. The question is, my biggest question with Waterson is she doesn't really get finishes. She kind of fights to a decision, whereas Marina likes to finish fights. So I'm gonna see how Marina does it. Is she gonna take her to the ground? Maybe, possibly, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see. But I think I'm gonna go Rodriguez. I think Rodriguez has probably more avenues to victory than Waterson does.
I agree.
All right, guys. Well, that is the end of the show. I had a lot to discuss. It was a little bit longer than normal, but next week we will be back to be talking about this card and to preview the card after, which is UFC 262 here in Houston, Texas. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. But before that, we will be talking about this win. This fight most likely a win for Marina Rodriguez, but who knows? Maybe Waterstone will pull out the upset. Until then, I am your host, Alec Miller. You can find me on Twitter at AlecMiller0423, and also catch me on the Red Glare podcast Monday nights, talking with my friend Paul about all the stuff happening in sports now that the NBA season is starting to come down. We are getting very, very close. We just did our early predictions for for how the bracket is set so far, and just so you guys know, it might change next week. But we have the Clippers defeating the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals. If you disagree, if you agree with that, let us know. Most likely, we'll look at the bracket again this Monday and take a look at it. So, also, Jokic for MVP. Go ahead, Jesus. Let them know where they can find you.
They can find me at The Real Jesus, and that's on the Twitter sphere. And that's also spelled JEEZUS, where I talk about anything MMA. I also recently I've been talking about NBA Top Shot. Do you know about NBA Top Shot?
I don't know about NBA Top Shot.
All right, man. I'm going to send you the info on NBA Top Shot. It's really cool. Right. It's a new stuff. So I'll talk about that as well. But again, at The Real Jesus, and that's spelled JEEZUS.
All right, man. Also, I wouldn't be mad if CP3 got the MVP as well. All right, guys. Peace out.